Hello, everybody. Hi, Sil. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
was thinking here, sitting, one day I was on the other end of this. I was the one who drove my car and just binged on the podcast and listened to everybody sharing their stories and you sharing the knowledge and to them being interviewed here. How did this happen?
Well, let's tell people how it happened because I think it's actually really fun. I mean, firstly, it seems obvious to me that this could have happened sooner. But as I said to you, and just for everyone listening, the program right now is on waitlist. What we're going to speak about is Zill's experience, but I think she's got a lot of nuggets and wisdom to share for those of you that are interested and want to, use your time better right now. But this happened because we're in a Facebook group together, and I shared something, and you commented underneath about your experience and all the results that you've created. And I was like, wow, sometimes when you run a program, you're not in everyone's results. You don't know everything that's happening for everyone. And I was just like, why don't we talk and get you on the podcast? And you said yes. And then here we are. Happened quite fast.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I commented on that. And it was from the heart because I think you shared a win. I really don't remember what you shared, but I think you shared a win or something. And then people were commenting and high-fiving you. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let her know how much of a win, how much her win has affected myself. I think you're talking about the program. I really don't remember what the post was, like how we initiated the post, but I just remember, hey, I'm gonna celebrate Vicky by sharing how her work has changed my life. And that's why, I shared what I shared, and here we are. So
Yeah.
excellent.
So, so let's talk about it. So you were listening to this podcast, and what were you struggling with as it related to time, or what were your dreams and goals as it related to time?
Yeah, so I just wanted back then, I wanted to build two businesses. I'm a bilingual coach. I coach in Portuguese, I coach in English, and my brain could not see how I would be able to do both. And I kept thinking I have to choose one. And I struggled with it for a long time. And I thought the problem was time. I need more time to build, this business in a bilingual way. I need more time. So I was giving time all this power. And I remember listening to your podcast, binging literally, and like sharing with my friends. I have one BFF, like my business best friend. And I'm like, you have to listen to this one. And I just remember like showering her with like links for, you know, and I thought, well, maybe it's not time. Maybe I can do this. And all this power I'm giving time for the lack of embracing, I'm trying to do this and it's time's problem. Maybe it's not a time problem. Maybe
Mhm.
this is a different problem and I need to figure this out. And
Mhm.
truly, that's why, I'm like, okay, need to figure this out. I don't think the problem is time. I think the problem is something else. And I think Vic is gonna show me what it is. And then I joined.
Yes. Yes. So for everyone listening, the program is centered around time, but we solve for everything that's underneath time. Um, so the other fun thing to mention that I just said to you before we hit record was one of the things I did a few years ago. I think it was 2022, maybe that was like around when you joined. Was I sent an email to everyone saying like, hey, if you're interested, but something's stopping you, reply and let me know. And you replied and said, I'm also looking at some marketing coaching or marketing courses, or, like I'm really trying to like figure this out. And I think that can be it too. What I was just saying to you is, so what do you think allowed you to decide to invest in a time program when I think a lot of business advice we get is normalizing investing in marketing or selling or business growth?
Yes, I love the question because I don't like when I looked at the marketing courses and all the marketing content, it seems that they have the solution for every problem. But I was marketing, and actually, the way people back then, the way people was the way people were marketing their program was mainly on Instagram. Was like Instagram and Facebook were heavy, and today it is the same, but it has changed, right? Instagram has changed, Facebook has changed, but back then was heavily on social media. And guess what? The month I decided to be off social media, was the month that I broke my first 5-digit month. And I
Wow.
was thinking, the problem is not marketing. Like, I was like, if marketing was the solution, then how come I got off social media and I hit 5 digits without quote unquote marketing, right?
Mhm.
So I understood that to find a solution for my quote unquote problem, or, for the way I wanted to build my business, it had to come from within. It had to come from, what you teach, thought management, and all the skills that you teach in the program. And also my relationship with time. Because I was thinking, okay, sure, I buy this marketing course, or, I join a program that will teach me marketing, but I'll still have the same problem
Mhm.
that I'm thinking I don't have enough time now to do marketing on top of all this. Like, it's just gonna suck the time that I already think I don't have.
Mhm.
So in my mind, I was like, this is just, my intuition was like, this is not the solution.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense that it's gotta be the relationship with time and how I'm managing time. It just felt right. Like, looking back, it's easier, right, to speak about a decision that you made. But when you were in the process of making that decision, I think I just went with my gut feeling that said, well, work on your relationship with time, and this is going to just align itself. Mainly, I just, went for it, following my intuition, and what I felt made more sense.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. And I love the point you mentioned about marketing. And we had one of our coaches do like a welcome Q&A for new people that join the program. And one of our time hackers commented when she was speaking about this program being timeless. And I think you're right, like marketing can be very seasonal and it's always evolving. But time and knowing how to optimize your time, and especially the way that I teach it was, which is not like strict time blocking or color coding or waking up at a certain time, or it's not these like tactics that aren't sustainable as life evolves, as we become parents, as we have two businesses, as we relocate or whatever it might be, become caregivers. It's like the program is designed to be timeless in terms of, it's giving you the skills and the ability to make decisions that are sustainable and successful, to manage your brain as, you have different things. So I think that's a really interesting point that you make. What would you say what do you think when I say that about the program being timeless, or the skills behind the program, we could say?
Yes, so fun that you said that, because like before we hopped on the call, I was sitting here and thinking, about our conversation and about, my experience in Time Hackers. I was like, you know what? All those principles are foundational principles that a lot that you are not going to learn anywhere else, because people are teaching um, very tailored, quote unquote, strategies for X, Y, and Z, and those expire,
Mhm.
right? They have an expiration. Even the way we did things in Instagram, say, last year, it's not how we're doing now. But the principles that I've learned that, I still take with me, every day is, okay, make decisions fast. All right. This is never going to expire. That's one way to really manage time and to create more time and to create more money. Fell fast. Holy cow. That was so strong for me, because I remember you had a challenge in the program
Mhm.
and you were encouraging everybody to fail fast. I'm like, holy cow, fail fast. How is this gonna work for me? And I was
Yes.
like, all right, let's do this, right? And I remember that was the month I got really close to $20,000 in the business, because I decided to fail fast. And I didn't have like a time blocking system to say, all right, at 8 in the morning, you're going to fail, at this. It was just the principle, you understanding how you can apply that. And I was like, holy cow, who'd have thought that deciding to fail fast would
Mhm.
bring me close to, 20, like, was a big deal, $20,000 in a month in my
Mhm.
business. And I came here to learn about time. and
Yeah.
I'm making more money. How is this all working? I don't know, but it does work. And something else also that I've brought with me because you always repeat, right? You always remind us, hey, don't think so linearly as you have to take all the courses in a, you know, in this manner or this video first on this second. You say, come in and make the decisions that are gonna make more sense for you for your business. All the material is there. Come get coached. Come hop on the call, get coached. Come on the Facebook group and ask for coaching there. So you tell us, you teach us how to be very resourceful. And that's what I've done. So I don't think I've shared this, but I have never watched all the videos. Don't tell everybody. Don't tell anyone. I have not. I have not. And I was actually looking through the program before I hopped on the call. I was like, Zil, you never touched this course because you have challenges and courses and yes, there is the main meat, the main, meal, the main
Yeah.
program there. And I haven't even watched all the videos on the main program.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. Like, so the principles that you teach you to be so resourceful with your time, with what you need, come in and get what you need and be so resourceful that I learned how to do that in the program. So yes, I have hopped on calls and asked for coaching, have hopped on the group and shared and just, getting what I need instead of I have to do this.
Yes.
Especially if you're, trying to manage time, why would I watch 2 hours of videos when I can watch a 10-minute video? And your videos are short. When I can watch something quickly and go fail fast and make a decision, go fail fast and try it and
Yes. Yeah.
come back with a result. So
Yes.
yeah.
And I think I was saying, I think one of the things is when people are producing courses, and this is a course and live, but is one of the things that people do is they say something like, if you're going to get results, you have to do it all perfectly. And that kind of protects the coach because I don't think I've ever done a course perfectly or watched it through fully. And I'm like you, my belief is I don't need all the information. I want the least things for the most results. Right. I don't want to have to. Now, we have some people that are like rewatching it for the third time, and you really get to do it your way. And we've got the podcast to make it easy. But the way that I teach success in the program, and I do literally teach how to succeed in this program. And one of the things I specifically say is you don't have to do it all. Because when we go into a program and we think I can only have success once I've done everything, we are going to not have success. But when we
Uh-huh.
think I can watch one video, and when we're told explicitly, you can watch one video and change your life from one video, your brain gets to work watching that video saying, how is this going to change my life? Not saying, oh, not yet, not yet, not yet. And I think that what you just shared is so powerful that you have embodied that and lived that, and also permission to everyone listening to apply that to any program you buy. Like if you operate from the belief that you have to do everything in order to produce results, you are never going to produce results because you're always going to not do everything. And people do this with planning, right? Where they're like, I need to follow the plan or complete the plan before I can produce results. And then they never quite finish it because life happens. And then they're so obsessed with the plan that they've lost sight of the result. So you are the example of focusing on the result and the impact instead of busyness, checklist ticking, and following something like outsourcing that responsibility. So I love that.
Yes, it's very empowering. That's what I found because, I don't have to, just knowing that I don't have to fit inside a box and that
Hmm.
I have the ability to make my decisions and to build in my way and to come and get what I need. And
Hmm.
really, yes, that's very empowering. But what I have to say also, and I really want to take some time to talk about this, is how I've grown to trust myself. Even though this is a time program, I'm like, holy cow, look at all the results. Because you truly have allowed us to do that. So I remember when my father passed away, and I think that was the hardest thing I've gone through in my whole life, really. And it was just like a couple of years ago. I went to Brazil, for the funeral and everything. And I had, a full roster of clients. And my clients are amazing. So whatever, I didn't have to work, not for them. They truly are incredible people. I think we attract who we are. And so they would have been okay with me saying, hey guys, I'm taking some time off, to grieve my father's passing. But I was having a hard time to come out and say that. And I was just in a lot of grief. And I hopped on a call. I remember one of my friends was hosting me. I wasn't even with family because I just had to be on my own. And my friend was hosting me. I was in her house, sitting on the bed, just crying my ears out, my eyes out. And I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, there is a call now. Vicky is hosting a call in like 10 minutes. I'm gonna hop on. And I think my face was all swollen, and my eyes. I don't remember what I looked like. I just remember sitting on the bed, being in the room by myself, hopping on that call. And I raised my hand and you said, and I think there were a lot of people who raised their hands at that call. And I think you said everybody's gonna get coached. I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's gonna get coached. I'm gonna get coached for sure. And then you're like, Zill. And I was bawling. I was like, oh my gosh, no, my dad. And you held space for me. You actually, I don't know if you remember this, but you actually helped um, really equalize my nervous system. That was the first thing you did. Like we didn't talk anything, but you saw me and you're like, Zill, and you saw the emotions. You're like, okay. And you went right into somatic. See, guys, you probably don't know all the tools that Vicky has under, her sleeves, but you pulled somatic coaching. I'm like, oh, and I knew exactly what you're doing. I was not expecting somatic. And you're like, okay, she's equalizing my nervous system. That's amazing. And then you took time to do that. And I was way more calm. And then you pretty much on that call allowed me to take time off. You helped me to allow myself to take the time off. And that call I understood that I had been conditioned to work and to find my value in work, in showing up, in producing results. And from the program, I've learned that resting is productive. And I've taught that to my children, to my
Mm.
family, to my husband, to friends. When they call, they're like, but I have to do this. And I said, what if you don't have to do any of those things? What if all you have to do is take a nap?
Mhm.
I was like, holy cow, I find myself believing that if you rest, you can be more productive and I don't know, it's just so magical. So that was a turning point for me that I learned I had to desensitize my own nervous system from believing that the only way I was safe was if I was working and working and working and working and working, and there was no safety outside of it because I love to work. I am a workaholic. I love it. And I have no shame of saying this, but learning that I can also drop it and I'll come back and I'll be even better is something that I learned from that, hard experience of allowing myself to stop and to grieve. And I told my clients, they were like, yes, take whatever time you need. They were totally fine. It was me who was not allowing myself to do that. So anyways, I think I want to take a minute to thank you for that. I don't think I ever thanked you for, that moment, that call, for everything that you did, for seeing me, for equalizing my nervous systems, for heaven's sake, like I did not expect that. Or, allowing me to, to just be and to grieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it also really vividly, and I remember the emotion there, and I remember the attachment to the safety, where you really believed that safety came from working and from doing and being for your clients, and that almost felt more comfortable than being with the grief. And I
Yeah.
just really remember your that whole change I think it's one thing to receive coaching and it's another thing to receive coaching. And I think you were so open to being safe, being seen, being vulnerable. And I really value, I wasn't going to necessarily bring it up on the podcast, but I love that you did because I think it's such a gift for everyone listening. Because unfortunately, in society, how we're taught, how we're conditioned is A, our safety comes from doing and being busy, and B, if it doesn't, it doesn't matter because our safety doesn't matter, right? Like performing matters, especially as women, especially as caregivers, especially as parents. Um, so I think you gave everyone inside Time Hackers a gift by getting coaching, and you've just given everyone who's listening to this a gift by sharing because we all face those moments in life. And it feels like the easiest thing to do is to keep working, but it's delaying hard, it's compounding hard. And I mean, you tell me, so you said, as you said, clients were all fine with it. How has that experience impacted you? You know, really listening to yourself, really allowing yourself the space to grieve, really like connecting with yourself. What has that created for you?
Yes, so I think, right away created a new sense of safety that I didn't know existed, right? And then I think in the long run, it just gave me permission to truly rest when I need. I took some days off. Actually, today is what, Tuesday?
Mhm.
So Friday I took off to San Francisco with my daughter had a game in San Francisco a day. It was a day. I'm like, why don't we take 4 days? Let's go up on Friday, just have some time there. Let's also take Monday. So I think long term it has helped me, give me the permission to enjoy my life, to make decisions that will honor my time with my family while I build my business, while I live my life. And I don't believe I will make less money because I'm taking time off. I'm here with you. My first call, and I'm in Pacific time. My first call was 6 in the morning. Now I want to call with you. Everything that I did this weekend just, brings me back even more fresh. And I don't know,
Mhm.
it's very profound. I don't know if I'm being able to articulate well enough, but it's a new sense of safety and I think confidence and permission to do the things that you want to do in your life and not let work dictate what you do or time
Mhm.
dictate what you do, what you don't do, what you can do, what you can't do. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So powerful. And I think you're right. So often it feels like time is something that happens to us, and we're almost like at the mercy of its limitations. And so we make decisions to like squeeze. We squeeze life. We squeeze, oh, you've got this game. Like you're just making me think about when I used to have meetings like in London. It's like, oh, let me just go get the train, go into the meeting, leave the meeting, go back. Versus now I'm like, to my best friend, oh, I'm coming to London for a meeting. Let me stay. Maybe I'll come a day earlier. I'll bring my son. We'll do a long weekend there. Like that ability to, it's like the opposite of squeezing. It's so expansive and it just gives you more opportunities for, I call them moments that matter, moments that become memories and not just for you, but for your kids too. I love when you said before about like teaching your kids to rest. What do you think like that feels huge to me to hear that. See, mine's a bit little. He's already resting plenty. But what does it feel like to, or what are the shifts that you see in them?
Yeah. So I have three children right there and all teenagers now. But because I worked so much and that's embedded, that's in my line, in my ancestors, right? My mom, my grandma, like we come from a line of hardworking women. My grandma would plant, all the yucca and then she would make the yucca flour. She would put that on the donkey and she would drive the donkey to town and sell that. So, and then my mom, and if you think of the line of women I come from, all hardworking, and I could do like a podcast just about my mom because she's the most incredible person, the best negotiator, the best salesperson, the best businesswoman. I grew up seeing that and seeing her work, 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 and never rest. On Sundays, we went to church, but that's the rest she gave herself. And of course, I passed this on to my kids. But today, especially one of my children, I see this pattern in her that she's restless. She cannot stop. She cannot stop. She cannot stop. And I keep telling her, it's okay to stop,
Mhm.
right? It's okay. And she doesn't want to
Mhm.
because she wants to be productive.
Mhm.
So it's been a journey actually with my children. I think two of them, they get it, right? One of them, he's really into meditation and um anyways, he's already, I think, in a really good path. But one of them, I think, is the one that I have to do the most work with because it's a daily or weekly reminder. And
Mhm.
what I see is that now she's learning how to be quiet. I see the learning, I see the progress. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it really has taken years to get her to this
Mhm.
point. And we are not done. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, had I not introduced this to her, she would just, have passed this down to her kids. I think we're going to be able to interrupt the pattern, but it's
Work.
been a lot of work. I'll tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy because when you teach them something when they're very little, that gets embedded in them. But for me to be able to see that and to introduce, new ways of thinking and to try and bring them back to it's safe to rest, I think that's going to be life changing for them. And, hopefully we don't pass this down to the next generation.
Mhm.
What was passed, all the way to me to this point.
Wow, it's so powerful to really think, when we do the work, when you were deciding to join this program, you were thinking about yourself and your time, and we don't
Uh-huh.
even realize like the generational shifts and the impact to our children. And I mean, I think about it now, but it's like when you first step into investing in yourself, it can feel sometimes people say to me, it's hard to invest in myself as a parent. I want everything for my kids. But what you just shared so powerfully is that, like, when you invest in yourself, you are investing for your kids.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Because you have to change first, right? The change has to come from you.
Hmm.
Yes, is what they say, right? The fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree, and it's so
Hmm.
true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, every time you invest in yourself and you do the work, you are definitely pouring that into your family, into your children, for sure, yes.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, I have something fun here, though, Nicole,
Yeah.
because I was thinking, what did I learn? And like, I love sometimes doing posts in the Facebook
Yeah.
community and just, bringing some things and concepts about time. I was like, okay, what would be fun to leave with the audience? Some
Yes.
concepts about time that perhaps they're not going to hear anywhere else, or this is very much so from knowing, from living. So I wrote some things down. Uh, First thing that I wrote down was time doesn't own me. Oh my gosh, time doesn't own me. Oh, I don't have time. I can't do this because then, and we can give those excuses, but some people live like time is the owner of them. And I'm like, nope. I might use the excuse because socially it's very well accepted. But I'm like, I'm making this decision and I know exactly right where I'm putting my time. So time is another one. Time is neither to be blamed or to be praised for my results. I create my results. It's not all because I finally have time, or when I have time, or I've got to make time for this, right? We give all the power to time. So no, it's me. Like if I get a result, I'm to be praised. If I don't, it's on me also. I'm to be blamed. It's not time.
Yes.
So I said I create my results. Now another one, I'm not limited by time or by money. And this is so true because I started to think differently about money from working on my time, relationship with time. So I remember in the past, I would make decisions based on money scarcity. And there is a real shift when you change your relationship with time that makes you just evolve in a sense that also for me, it has changed my relationship with money because I don't believe time is scarce. All of a sudden, something shifted, and I'm like, wow, money is not scarce. It's the same way that time is there for you to do whatever you want with it, and it's abundant. It's the same idea with money. Even if the number in your bank account doesn't say so, it's the whole thinking, it's the whole mindset behind it. And if you're listening to this now, you might be going like, okay, you're crazy. I get you. It sounds crazy because I remember when I was first introduced to these principles, I was like, it doesn't add up, right? Because I learned that 2 + 2 is 4, and that's the only way. Anyways, 1 + 1 is 2. And then if you add zero point 0.5 and you keep adding, you're eventually going to get to 4. There are many ways to get to 4. So
Yes.
my point is, when you change your relationship with time and there is a mindset change, and when that mindset change happens, your results change as well. And the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So it bleeds into other areas of your life. But you have to come experience this for yourself. Otherwise, it might not make sense for you. And that's okay. But if you want to, see how this crazy idea is real, you've got to give yourself a chance to experience it. And it's pretty awesome, tell the truth.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for thinking of everyone and making sure that you got these really powerful points across.
Yes.
And thank you for being awesome. And I'm gonna do something where we're gonna open up time hackers for 48 hours off the back of this because I just think, you've given people such gold and you've opened such a door and a window into what's possible that it feels cruel almost to then be like, but sorry guys, you can't access it. So I think you've inspired me. And isn't that
Wow.
fun just for everyone listening that like you can change your mind, but you can change other people's minds. Like Zill right here by sharing her story is going to change your lives because she's made something accessible. She's convinced me to make something accessible without
Yay.
asking me to, um, just by the power of her story. And I just really, again, want to thank you for being here, for being an example, for sharing so vulnerably and so openly, and for expressing things beyond, what I can say. And I think really just I love just as a reminder for everyone, like she's not finished the course perfectly. Um,
No.
and you don't need to not only get value around time, but around other areas of your life. Like she's doing the work with her kids. Like this is going to impact generationally. That feels so huge. Even for me to live that and see that, but to really know, I think you know about me, I was like an 80-hour week work all the time person. So seeing that difference in how my child is raised because of the work that I've done is huge. And also to even take back to what we said at the beginning, like I remember getting an email from you of like the reasons why you weren't going to join. And really, and we really have that. We really have um reasons to not make change. But I think that you are such an example of doing it anyway, figuring it out anyway, figuring it out imperfectly, embracing discomfort, being celebratory. I do think you're really great at being celebratory and generous in the community. And you've been really generous here. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. And one more thing I think to end is that I have to be very honest that I love to work.
Yes.
I love it. Like it feels a part of me that nothing else feels. Um, I am a mom, I have a family, and I do a lot of community service and service in my church as well. Have friends, my clients today, we have a community where we meet in person a lot. So I have a full life. And I don't want for anybody to think that you have to put yourself in a box and say, well, maybe I have to do less. I don't think the point, is okay, you have to do less of what you love so you can learn how to manage time better, and then you're going to have more time. That's not, it's way broader. It's a whole concept of you taking ownership of the time you're giving, of the hours you're giving, and you feeling good and deciding what you want to do with it and the way you want to do those things. And it doesn't mean it truly, and I think I have to say that it doesn't mean that you have to do things in an X, Y, and Z way because it might not be your way. But the point here is that you get empowered around time. And I know empowered is a very, cliche word, but there is true power from knowing that time is there for you, from knowing that you gotta do this, you have to do this your way, and you get to do this your way. And yes, if you want to follow a system, great, just follow the system. And Vicky has clearly a very, well established and step-by-step system that you can follow. But you don't have to get the results and to build what you want to build. And I think that's my point because I personally love to work, but I just took 4 days off on a whim. Truly, like, wasn't until Tuesday that I decided that, oh, I'm actually gone on Friday. I think it was Monday last week. I mean, last minute, right? Like people like to plan and, you
Mm,
know, and I just think you've got to embrace once you get the concepts, you can use the concepts to your favor and not to put you in a box. Does
yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. I think this is what's great about time hackers is people are really using it for however they want. So, if someone wants to work on a Saturday, they can work on a Saturday. If someone wants, it's really about optimizing your time by optimizing yourself. And that looks different for each of us. And I think what you just shared about making decisions on a whim, to me, what that really means is being super present with your current desires and current needs. And I think so often when it comes to time, we're taught the exact opposite, where we're taught that you have to make decisions 3 weeks from now. And that loses your relationship to your present self. And I think what you've just shared so beautifully is how time hackers has helped you is it's helped with your relationship not just to yourself but to your present self so that you're able to work how you want to work and live how you want to live. And just because you enjoy work doesn't mean you can't take 4 days to travel. And just because you want to have a full life and have kids and social life and all of that doesn't mean you can't work. So it really is meeting your desires where they are. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yes, that's it. Yes, thank you so much for having me here. I hope this was of value for, people who are listening. I think when we have changes and shifts, we are responsible for passing that on.
Hmm.
And, I'm so grateful I had a chance to come and share. And I hope, some people felt inspired and got answers because,
Yeah.
this is real. This is very real.
This is super real. And also, we're going to have a link to Zill's social media in the show notes. So if you want to connect with her, you want to follow along with her story, you're curious about anything around her life and work, then you can absolutely go and connect with her too.
Yes, thank you, Vicky.
Amazing. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for your time and your wisdom, more importantly. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I'll see you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.